Good evening. Welcome to today's first Chesapeake chat session. My name is Christian Jones, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. Thank you to our first Chesapeake chat sponsor, Newport News Shipbuilding. This session is the first in a 5-part series called Today's Women in STEM Cool Jobs. And it is part of a first Chesapeake Reaching for the Stars, Women in STEM, sponsored by Leidos. Thank you to both Newport News Shipbuilding and Leidos for making this chat possible. We would now like to showcase Leidos with a quick video.
Leidos. 1 part inspiration, 1 part science, 1 part legacy, and 1 part opportunity. We live in a complex, uncertain world, a world that demands breakthroughs today, like safe and reliable transportation, a robust infrastructure, better health solutions, a safer cyberspace, and an efficient military. Leidos, ready to support your next breakthrough.
Great. So just some quick housekeeping. We'll let the speakers present and then open up for discussion questions later on if there's time. In the meantime, feel free to put questions in the comments throughout the chat, and we'll try to get to them all. Today's chat features women currently working for Leidos that is headquartered in Reston, Virginia. Leidos is our sponsor for Reaching for the Stars Women in STEM, and we appreciate their support. At this time, I'd like to introduce our speakers. First, we have Regina Stir. He's a bioinformatics, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, division's chief.
It's fine.
Say hey, Regina. And then next up, we have Quanah Frost. He's a security system engineer. Hey, Quanah.
Hey.
And then we have Tiffany O'Brien. She's a chief engineer, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. That's a fun title. And then last but certainly not least, we have Tina Holden. She's a PhD and is a human factors technical fellow. So if you wouldn't mind, we have everybody here. So if all wouldn't mind to give a brief summary of the work you do in your current position, I think it'd be kind of cool to hear. And we'll start with Tina.
Well, hello. I am Tina Holden, and I am a human factors engineer and researcher at the NASA Johnson Space Center. So my area of expertise is actually displays and controls, and I work to make sure that the displays and controls that astronauts will use are easy to use and safe and will help them complete their mission.
Great. And then we'll move on to Regina.
Hi, my name is Regina, and I am the division chief for bioinformatics at the Naval Medical Research Center. And I have a team of very highly skilled computational biologists who work on viral and bacterial genomes. And this is a really cool job.
Wow. Sounds like it. We'll move on to Tiffany. And Tiffany, can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
Tiffany O'Brien, and I'm the chief engineer for Leidos's Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Accelerator, and I get to work on a lot of interesting projects that the government funds to advance research in machine learning, such as looking for the answers to how do you detect cyber attack by looking out in Twitter in the outside world. Do you get a hint that someone's going to do a cyber attack, or how do you use machines to actually read research papers and be able to look for ways to combat cancer and find cancer earlier?
Oh my gosh, that sounds interesting too. Well, next we move on to Quanah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Quanah Frost. I am a senior system security engineer. My team is responsible for developing secure solutions for the National Security Agency. I work on the Key Management Infrastructure Program. And again, my team makes sure that the products that we deliver to the government are safe and secure.
Wow. All so impressive. I appreciate y'all being here again tonight. This is so much fun. So next up, we'll go ahead and go into these questions that we've gotten. The first one is, what advice would you give your younger self?
I'll take that one. Some advice that I would give my younger self would be, if you can dream it, believe it, you certainly can achieve it. So I would just continue to reiterate that to my younger self, dream big. If you believe it, you certainly can achieve it.
I love it.
And I can go the second. If I were to tell myself, I would say to myself, be yourself. You don't have to be like everybody else. It's okay to be a little different. Not a lot, but somewhat different. And then I would say to myself, enjoy learning and don't worry too much about the grades. And finally, to be patient, because I think I wanted the results quickly, and that has got myself in trouble sometimes. Those are the things. Thanks.
That's still, being patient still gets me in trouble. So fun. Awesome. So we'll go on to the next question. Kind of along the same lines, but what advice would you give younger women looking to explore similar fields?
So I would say take a lot of classes in the different sciences and in maths, because I think the more you expose yourself to different types of science and engineering, the more likely you are to find something that really catches your imagination that you really get excited about. And it's probably not going to be things that you're excited about at first. It's often something you find later on in life. So do that, and really pay attention in classes. Find something you're really passionate about, and just sort of keep following that, and I believe you'll be successful.
And I have a very similar answer to that. It's all about what you have a passion for. Don't tell your parents I'm saying this, but don't pursue something because your parents say, oh, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a writer, or whatever. Find what is your passion. Get as much education as you can, and you will be successful. You'll be able to find a great job, and you'll be happy.
All great advice. And Regina and Kwana, do y'all have anything to add that you'd like to share as well?
I would say, continue to be curious, ask questions, ask a lot of questions, explore, don't limit yourself, just, explore all that's available to you, seek out what's not available to you.
Get the resources all lined up for you. Perfect. Awesome. So kind of going back to what you all do, what is your favorite part about your job?
I can take that one as well. So as part of my job, I get to interact with other teams. So I interact with the software development team. I interact with the infrastructure and networking team. I interact with our chief architect, our chief systems engineer. So the interaction with my peers and colleagues and also the customer is probably my favorite part about my job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can say that my job is always challenging. Bioinformatics is not that new. I think a lot of people know about it, but not everybody knows. And it is a very demanding job in a way that technology is always changing. Bioinformatics is like studying genomics, basically. And so every day we learn different things. And I have a group of people who are, nice to chat with, and that is a part of the job that I really enjoy, because being able to talk to people in, academically challenging manner is one thing. And another thing that I enjoy is to be able to publish the work that we do, and writing. Those are the things that I enjoy.
Awesome. And Regina, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm really curious. Can you expand on what bioinformatics actually is?
Yeah, so right now, with the COVID going on, my job actually involves studying the viral genomes, the viruses that is causing COVID-19, and that's the coronavirus. And so we have a lab in our work which sequence the genomes. And for our division, we look at the sequencing data every day on the computer. So we don't actually work in the wet lab, but we look at the sequencing data to see what is going on with the viruses, if there is any mutation that we should be aware of. these things are what we are looking at every day. And our lab is also involved a bit in the COVID vaccine development. So every day is a challenge.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you for your work. So we'll go on to the next question that we do have. So as a child, did y'all dream of becoming an engineer? I'll just ask all of y'all first, all those who are an engineer.
Well, I'll take that. I don't know that I dreamed of being an engineer, but I know when I was young, I was in love with science fiction and space, and my uncle really inspired me. He used to teach me the names of constellations. So I knew I really wanted to try to be part of NASA, work for NASA in some way. I really liked science, but I liked applied work. So I have the perfect combination of that in my current job. I get to do some research, and then I get to do very applied work working for the space program.
And what exactly is the applied work that you do? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, and that kind of speaks to the previous question. What I like best about my job, and that is the great variety. So one day I might be doing an experiment in the lab, running astronauts in a study. And another day I might be in a spacecraft mock-up that looks almost like the real thing. And we're going in there and looking at the panel layouts, and we're talking to engineers and crew about what the display should look like and making recommendations. So that's really the applied part of it. A lot of fun.
That sounds like it. That's awesome. So I know within the FIRST community, mentoring is really big. And it has been a useful tool for most of the folks on a FIRST team. So did you have any mentors? And if you do you still keep in touch with your mentors, or have you mentored anybody, and do you keep in touch with your mentees?
I had two really good mentors, and one in particular that was a great experience because he would bring me in and just describe what he did in his job. He's a much more senior person. He said, "This is what I do in my job all day. This is what I care about. This is what you would care about. This is why I care about it." And over the course of a year, you keep finding out this is why people make the decisions they do and why you end up doing the kind of work that you are. And then that led me to want to be a mentor. And, so when I talked to someone else that was interested, and so I've been working with them, and it's a chance to sort of pay it forward. So I think if we keep, giving that kind of knowledge on down the line, that I think it really helps.
That's awesome.
And Kristen, I'll jump in on that one also. I think it's really important to have mentors. I've had several official mentors, and then several folks who were my mentor, but they didn't know it. And I always, I have mentors, that are in my profession, and also mentors that are outside my profession that don't necessarily, do what I do every day, but they may be in Leidos, and they may have a corporate knowledge or some knowledge that I don't have. I also had an opportunity to mentor other folks that are under me as well, and that has given me great joy to actually share, some of my experience and help someone along the way, or provide tips or advice along the way. So I believe in mentorship.
Yeah, it's something we value here at FIRST very heavily. So,
Yeah.
Awesome. So one fun question that I kind of have as well is, what's the biggest challenge you had doing your position currently? And did you anticipate it before the challenge became about, I guess?
Oh, I guess okay, yeah. So I guess I'll kind of I'll take that. I'll start us off. So one of the projects that we were working on, our project was dwindling down, and we were asked to join a sister organization that did the same type of work we did, but combined the teams. And it was challenging because it was a different culture. It was a different environment, although the work was very similar and the work was, the same, it was still an adjustment. My team didn't necessarily readily, look forward to this new merger. They were reluctant, initially because of all the challenges. And so one thing that I did is, I just made it a very positive. The fact that we were going to a larger team, that meant we had more resources, we had more expertise, we had more skills, and I just tried to just really reflect on all the positives and all the advantages of merging, with the other team. And so it worked out well. It ended up being not as challenging as I initially had anticipated. It certainly was a challenge, but in the end, now looking back in hindsight, it really wasn't that bad.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
It's all good now. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add? I know it's definitely being an engineer or even anybody in the field, you definitely come into those situations.
Well, I'll throw out a comment. I haven't had a lot of problems being a female in that role, but I do think it's important that you speak up and get involved. A lot of time, if you're quiet and if you're female and you're in an industry, an organization where there are a lot of males, you could get left out. And so it's really important that you have a lot of visibility. You volunteer for projects, you ask to get involved. And just don't sit on the sidelines. Speak up and really get involved.
That's great advice. Have y'all experienced any bias because you are women in a predominantly male environment?
Actually, to tell you the truth, in my position, I think being a female isn't too bad. Over the years, I have had a good number of female coworkers, so that was very helpful. And my male supervisors were also very supportive. And if it wasn't for them, I think I would not be here. So I think I was fortunate in that sense. Maybe there were some occasions where I was probably not seeing the biases that I experienced. Maybe I kind of turned a blind side on that, but I think be able to believe in yourself and be confident and speak up and not to be afraid. I think that helps to survive.
And that reminds me too, I think that's a good point. When I started off, I remember one of my challenges was starting at a new project, a new big complex project that had a lot of things going on, a lot of people, and it was just sort of frightening because there was so much to learn and so many people there. And I remember at first, walking into meetings with all these people, and then mostly guys, because it's engineering, computer science, and they all just you feel like they're all staring at you, waiting for you to, say something or mess up or you look young. And then realizing that if you're just confident about what you do know and say, don't try to claim you know things you don't, but just say, I do know these and I am good at this. People very quickly start recognizing that and understanding it and start treating you like a human being. So I think you just need to believe that you really do know, you really are confident, you know what you know, and you belong there.
Yeah, actually, I just realized my team actually is made of 7 people, and we only have 2 girls, including me. So actually, I didn't even notice that because it's just a job, I don't think about the gender much at all.
Yeah, that's a good thing, though, to some degree. If you don't notice it, it's not a problem, right?
Well, I have certainly noticed being the only female for a while. I think I finally have another female on my team, but I've certainly noticed, and I've just sought out other female engineers. Always ask questions for things that I didn't know, and and just make sure that you're comfortable. It's okay if you don't know. It's okay to ask questions. And I will say that I've been fortunate that all my male colleagues have, embraced me and it's taken me for, an extra expert in the field. So
that's wonderful. And I just want to remind those who are watching tonight, if you do have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll be happy to answer them. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep it going. So have y'all had a chance, if you could change one thing in your professional life, what would it be? A thinker. Or if you don't need to change anything, then that's even better too. So
That's an interesting question. I would say, you know, it's not so much that I regret anything, but I've always been happy when I've jumped on new opportunities and just sort of new things and said, well, I think I can find out a little more. This is something new I'm interested in, and I'm going to find out more about it on my own. And then when a chance comes up to do more with it, just said, yes, I'd like to do that. That's how I got into AI and machine learning. It was interesting. I did some work in it. And then an opportunity came up, and when you just keep saying, yes, I want to do that, then you learn more and more and more. And I've never regretted jumping to something new.
That's some great advice for people as well. So don't be afraid to say yes and try something new, right?
Right.
So we have a question actually geared for Regina. So Meebles127 is asking, what is the composition of your lab like? Are you the only bioinformatics in your group? And what does your group generally do?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. We have about 20 people in our department, which is Genomics and Bioinformatics department. And we have 3 divisions: phage division, Bioinformatics division, and sequencing division. So I'm in the Bioinformatics division. However, we analyze the data generated by sequencing team and phage team. So we do have like actual laboratory people and people who are on the computer mostly. We interact very often and share the data. And depending on the situation, there are troubleshooting areas, then we need to communicate with each other. So it's a really nice setup. Right now with the COVID, not everybody is able to go to work. So most of the time, lab folks are there more often than the bioinformatics folks.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense.
Does that answer the question that you have?
I believe so, yeah. And I think the only other thing that maybe they asked, are you the only I'm sorry, I was butchering.
No,
yes.
I am the chief, but we have 4 additional Leidos contractors who are working as bioinformatics researchers. We have 2 additional folks who are computational biologists. We have those folks from the government side.
Okay, perfect. And I think that answered all the questions that Meebles127 had. So that was great. Thank you, Regina. What professional development opportunities did you find most useful in your careers?
I would say, training that was associated with my job. So if there were tools that I was using on the job, any training that was associated with the tools was helpful and beneficial. We do a lot of lunch and learns in my organization. So, unofficial learning has been very productive for me as well. So any opportunity to, learn something new, certifications, tools, technology in our field, it's forever changing. It's fast. We can barely keep up. So any opportunity you have to get some professional development, experience, it's great. So take advantage of, official and unofficial training.
If anybody else wants to add anything, by all means.
Well, this may not be considered standard professional development, but I would say the opportunity to go and present at conferences, that's led to a lot of new ideas and new learning on my part, and meeting in different networks of people that I could then, collaborate on new projects with. So that's really kind of expanded my knowledge base by being able to do that.
So before we kind of start wrapping things up, is there anything else that y'all kind of want to talk about or want to address to the audience? And again, if y'all have any more questions, by all means, please feel free to drop them in the comments section. We'd love to answer them tonight. So.
Go ahead.
Nope, you're good.
I was just going to say, I would just reiterate the point that several people made about, dream big, find your passion, don't put boundaries on yourself, because, anything you can dream about, you have the passion to do, you should go do it. The opportunity's there, so take it.
Awesome. And I did have one question when I come through as well. Do y'all have secret security clearances with the government?
Yeah.
I do not.
So you said, I'm sorry, somebody said they did or they didn't?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do have a clearance for my kind of job. The advantage is you get to see even more interesting problems.
Yeah.
With some really vital things that you feel are important. They're important problems to work on that if you can help solve them are going to make the world a better place if you're lucky. So.
Now you definitely can't talk too much about that, so I won't push too much. But it's very intriguing. Let's just know that. But awesome. I'll go through the rest of them. I guess the last one we do have, if it's just kind of off base a little bit, but do y'all have any issues managing your work-life balance with the jobs that you do?
I was going to say yes. That's always an issue. Not always an issue. That can definitely be an issue, and particularly in COVID. My kids are a little bit older now, but other people I work with that have younger kids that are trying to, they're at home and trying to do school as well as do work. It's been really interesting, a real challenge. But I'm happy. What we've learned to do is sort of work around schedules and work at different times and work remotely and do a lot of things offline. So we've found ways around it. But I'd say it's hugely important to keep your out of work life interesting and important and growing, and it'll make your work more interesting as well. It goes both ways.
Right. Yeah. I'll ditto what Tiffany said. I have a 10-year-old son, and we definitely have had a challenging time with this virtual learning. And my job is cyclical. There are times when I'm very, very busy. There are times when, my outside work life is very, very busy. So it's always a balancing act. And I try to stay balanced as best I can, but yeah, it is a balancing act. So learning to navigate both worlds is definitely more of an art than a science. I'll say that.
Yep, I agree, totally agree. I have 3 boys, 16, almost 14, and 12. All 3 boys, and they are all in their room. So it's hard for me to actually focus, but they have been pretty good. So I can't be complaining that much. But there are times when they think, maybe I'm not cooking enough, for example.
That's awesome. Well, lovely. I know we're running out of time. Tina, I want to give you a chance if you want to chime in on that question. Don't feel obligated to, though. So completely up to you. Oh, looks like we do have one more.
Go ahead.
Yes, she said. So we have another question. She was wondering if you were always at Leidos or if y'all were involved in another research group before being at Leidos. She's interested in both biology and data science. So bioinformatics is something that they have looked into somewhat.
I can take that question because I was with the Institute of Genomic Research in Rockville, back in 2002, I can't remember, 2007. And then I was with the National Cancer Institute in Fort Detrick. And then this is pretty much like the fourth job that I had. But every job had taught me a lot of things.
Wonderful. Well, awesome. Thank you all so much. I had so much fun talking with you. And I do want to remind the folks that are watching to please stay tuned for our next chat starting in just a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all virtually.
Thank you.